Good morning to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here. Hurricane Outlook and discussion time. It is Monday, the 5th of July, 2021, and we are tracking Elsa now, almost making landfall in west central Cuba. Then it's going to go across through the Florida Straits into the southeast Gulf of Mexico and bring some impacts to Florida and beyond. And that being the case, I'm going to be wrapping up this video in just a few minutes, packing up a few last-minute things, and then jumping in the rental truck and heading down to Florida with my colleague Mike Farrow, and we're going to do our thing, set up some equipment. Not expecting a major impact event out of this, but might as well do some practice and get some equipment out there, test a few things. We did it out in this Great Plains during severe weather season. Now I guess we can do it under tropical conditions and make sure we're ready for August, September, and October, while at the same time bringing you some excellent live coverage. All right, so let's first see what's going on, the latest stats with Elsa. There it is, knocking on the door of making landfall in Cuba. The pressure's up a little bit, 1,006 millibars. So this is in no way, shape, or form an intense system wind-wise. So we don't have to worry about the wind too much. That's not to say it won't be an issue at all, but with a pressure of 1,006, there's just not much of what we call a pressure gradient. The difference in pressure over distance just isn't that substantial. And so the wind is not going to be that strong in a small area near the center. I think it was just east of it, 65 miles per hour in any of the deep convection out there. I'm going to come back to this page in just a minute. First, I want to look at the satellite animation courtesy of Tropical Tidbits. And here's Elsa this morning, not particularly well organized. Northwesterly shear coming in and knocking the thunderstorms back off to the south and east. Instead of allowing the convection to wrap all the way around symmetrically, Elsa is kind of lopsided. But it is fairly sizable overall, a large area of impacts, bands of heavy rain, maybe clusters of heavy rain every once in a while. So it's there. You know, we got to watch it. We got to see what happens with it, take it seriously, respect it, all that good stuff, and be ready for it here in Florida. Because, again, it's going to bring what we call sensible weather, weather that you can feel, and that's important. You got to understand that. It's beyond just that word hurricane. All right, so, you know, it moved across the Atlantic and created a lot of hoopla because it looked like it could be a lot stronger. And here we are now on the 5th of July, and it's, you know, still waiting to cross Cuba, and it's got a lot of work to do still. Will it be able to do so? Hard to tell. The models are not real enthusiastic about it, but we're not going to really worry about the models any longer. Instead, we're going to focus on what we're seeing out the window, as I say, and we can use this, the satellite tool, as well as radar, and then eventually local observations from the buoys, from people, you know, that it's impacting in Florida, and I will be one of them, Mike, my colleague included, as we set up our equipment. We'll be able to tell you exactly what's going on. So here's the radar out of Key West real quick. This is a really nice long animation from Mark Nissenbaum over at Florida State University. And here's the bulk of the heavier rain associated with Elsa. Just a few outer periphery rain bands coming through the lower Keys up into the upper Keys into South Florida. A lot more where that came from. And this is a really nice radar. You can just Google search there, Mark Nissenbaum radar. See, right in there's the link. Probably grab that out of the YouTube here and check this out. Pretty cool to see. All right, so back to the Hurricane Center homepage. Looking at the key messages, this is very helpful. Heavy rain, tropical storm conditions, storm surge, maybe the risk of a tornado or two. Isolated tornadoes can't be ruled out. Maybe some hurricane conditions, maybe, down in parts of Cuba today, in any of those more intense rain bands, should they set up. But other than that, you know, a fairly low to moderate impact system overall. The peak surge, this is important for Florida especially. A couple of feet of inundation down here throughout the Keys where we have the strong onshore flow. 1 to 3 feet between there and Bonita Beach, and then from Bonita Beach up to the Suwannee River. And Cedar Key, that vicinity, maybe 2 to 4 feet. And this is above ground level, by the way. Normally, dry ground should have 2 to 4 feet of surge on top of it, depending on the trajectory of the wind flow. You know, storm surge is simply the push of wind across the water towards land, and the water can't go anywhere but up. That's all it is. Well, there's a tiny bit of it because of the low pressure, but that's mainly in very intense hurricanes. It's, negligible really. So this part of Florida is very vulnerable to storm surge, and so any coastal marinas, if you have docks and piers down there, beach cabana, whatever, this is something to take seriously. There will be impacts, and there are millions of people in Florida, in case you didn't notice, and so you got to be ready for this, and just think smart. If you got beachfront property down there, or you're heading to the beach, watch out for the potential for larger waves. Those squalls come in. Some of them might have lightning, because this is not your typical well-organized system. Any of those bands that come out could have a lot of lightning. So yeah, there's going to be some hazards down there, and storm surge will be part of it. Back to the radar real quick. One thing that we'll note as this progresses, once these bands set up, you're going to want to pay attention to where they occur relative to the interstates, and I'm just approximating here that I-75 goes across towards Naples. This is I-95. You have the turnpike that parallels it. 75 goes up on the west side. Those interstates are going to be hammered, literally, with very heavy rain. And a lot of people are going to be traveling after the 4th of July holiday, maybe some people hanging around. It's busy with the economy opening back up as the pandemic has begun to wind down more and more. Hard to believe we're talking about that, but it's true. There's a lot more people on the road. And my job is to inform you, educate you, and then show you what happens impact-wise to the best of my ability. And, my experience tells me that these wet roadways can be a huge, huge problem. So please take that seriously. We can look at that closer here on our interactive tracking map. This is the forecast track for Elsa, maybe remaining a tropical storm throughout the southeast, and then up into the mid-Atlantic waters, offshore of the mid-Atlantic anyway. And maybe if it changes trajectory enough, it could affect the Canadian Maritimes. We'll address that tomorrow and Wednesday as the track progresses. So let's zoom in here and think about what's going on in Florida. And as this comes up, it is not a symmetrical system. So most of the weather is going to be on this side of the track over here. And what is that inside of that area I drew, the polygon? That's Florida. See? Right there. And all of Florida will be inside, basically, let's just go back to the satellite. All of this stuff right here, there's the center of circulation right in there somewhere. All of this is headed up into Florida. That's your weather. That's what's coming. Don't worry about the wind so much. You say, well, come on, 40, 50, 60 mile per hour wind. You guys are making a big deal out of this. That's not the big issue. That can still knock down some branches, maybe a tree or two, some signage, whatever. It's going to be random and scattered, but there will be impacts. And it's mostly going to be in the peninsula area instead of the west side, like the offshore waters. I guess there's a few interests out there, but make no mistake, as this comes up, because it is east-weighted, that is going to put a lot of this area under the gun for heavy rain, squally conditions, and all of that will spread up into the Georgia coastal plain, the low country of South Carolina, and into the coastal plain of North Carolina in the days ahead. So again, talking about the travel down here, I think I did a pretty good job approximating where the interstates were. You have these major corridors going across South Florida here. And then, of course, the Turnpike and the I-95 corridor this way. US 1 coming out of the Keys, 75. And, let's see, 75 goes, up this way through Tampa, then I-4. Not really sure what this is. I can zoom in on it and tell you. But the point is, you got a lot of people traveling. So please, please take this seriously. Slow down out there. Spread the word if you know people, maybe those traveling with families. Send them a text, an email with this video link in it, and let them know, look, this is serious. You got to take it easy out there. Hydroplaning can put you into another vehicle, into a canal, into a retention pond, into a brick wall, whatever, a tree. The palm trees in Florida are solid. I know because I've seen them. Never hit one, but they're solid. They're built like concrete, and if your car hits it because you hydroplaned, that is a bad day for you. So those are the impacts that we're talking about. That's what you need to expect from this. Just a hodgepodge of, unpleasant weather on the low to moderate side of impacts overall. And I can't pinpoint exactly who's going to get it. So now it's going to be up to you. to pay attention to local radar. I use Radar Scope as an app. I think it's like $10 off the App Store on iOS and Android. Not my app. I wish it was. That'd be great. But it's called Radar Scope. There's also, like I showed you, the radar here from Mark Nissenbaum at Florida State University. There's weather.gov. You name it, it's out there. Keep up with it. All right? That's the best thing to do, is keep up with it. All right, so I will be heading out, like I said, in just a little while with my friend and colleague Mike Farrow from here in Wilmington, North Carolina. What do? Well, we go out and we set up equipment and we stream that video back. We do have a public-facing, always publicly available YouTube feed, but then we set up these multiple camera systems, and our supporters over at Hurricane Track Insider get to see all of that. I mean, they invest in it, so they literally have a interest in it beyond just being a subscriber. This is different. This is more of a crowd-funded project where people submit ideas, they donate equipment. We meet with some of these people. Some of them pick up the equipment for us. It's a great group of people, and this is where it all starts right here on our homepage. And then we've got our digital dashboard, which will become populated with the cameras as we set them up. This nice little interface that Mike Cornelius has created for us, based on a principle that I set up 16 years ago for Hurricane Katrina, when all of this started. Now we fund it through Patreon and our different membership levels, starting at $10 a month. You get everything I just showed you. $25 a month, I'll send you one of our paper tracking maps. And when we do our Zoom chats, you get to be involved in that as well. It's at patreon.com/hurricanetrack. After you sign up, your email address on Patreon is automatically put to our database, and then you have access to Hurricane Track Insider, and you're good to go. That's what we do. That's how we do this. And this interactive map, yep, that's part of it. And by the way, you'll be able to go in and watch the cameras. These are permanent cameras that we have set up. This one's down in Key West, and it sometimes takes a second or two to load. That's just Nest. These are from some of our members already, by the way. These are permanent cameras at member locations, and isn't it interesting that we already have some down in Florida that will be seeing some impacts. Nice and sunny there in Bradenton, up here in Orange Park, probably sunny as well. And let's see if this one loads. Da-da-da. I don't want to keep waiting and holding you up, but yes, it takes a little bit sometimes for Nest to load them up, but they do work, and it's pretty cool to see, especially once we put them out along the coast in areas specifically for watching the impacts from that particular storm. Let's just try Orange Park one more time, see if Nest got its button gear. Didn't let me down, did you, Nest? Thank you. So yes, this is what we do with our crowdfunding. You can become a part of it and literally join us on the road while we are doing what we're doing, and I'll keep you informed along the way on the YouTube feed. We have moderators that help keep up with that, and they feed questions to me. I'll try to answer as much as I can and make this an interactive and interesting experience. Not everything is going to be a Category 5 Michael, thank goodness, or a Category 4 Laura. Some of these minor events help to get us ready for the big events, and it's my job, right? So I might as well do it. All right, so let me be quiet, get out of here, and get on with it. Hey, there's the chat starting to click as it is. That's the little chat notification. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate it. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. It's all Hurricane Track. I am Mark Setta. Thanks for tuning into the morning update. I'll talk to you again from the road. By the way, we'll have the live feed once we get to Georgia later this afternoon. We'll flip the live feed on YouTube. So if you're following on YouTube, definitely turn your notifications on so you know when we go live. And I'll see you from along I-95 once we get to Georgia later today.